back. It's your girl Alexis Ambitious, back for another episode of Measured Discretion. Black Americans don't lack leverage. We lack the courage and the coordination to use it. This isn't about racism. It's not about the government. It's not even about reparations. It's about why power only works when people are willing to touch it, and why right now we aren't. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why anger scares nobody, why unity breaks down at the top first, and why leverage without sacrifice is just a fantasy people argue about online. Why mass economic withdrawal is possible in theory, but impossible in practice. How fear is conditioned, not natural. Why education matters more than emotion in power movements. How fragmentation kills leverage faster than racism ever could. Why elite Black Americans are not exempt and why that matters. What real coordination actually requires and why it terrifies systems. I don't believe Black Americans can pull off a mass withdrawal. Not because the leverage doesn't exist, but because we're not prepared to use it. And before anybody gets defensive, listen, this isn't about worth, it's about conditioning. In my last video, I broke down what would happen if Black Americans stopped working and spending for a mere 2 weeks. The data was clear. The leverage is real. But here's the part people don't want to talk about. Power only works when people aren't afraid to touch it. And right now, we are. For me, there are 3 reasons a mass withdrawal wouldn't happen. Not racism, not the government, not the law. Fear, lack of education, and zero unity. Fear doesn't mean weakness. Fear is conditioning. We've been trained to believe missing work equals disaster. Non-compliance equals punishment. Silence equals danger. So even imagining withdrawal feels reckless. Not because it is, but because survival was taught louder than strategy. Fear keeps people showing up, even when showing up is killing them. And a fearful population cannot apply pressure. Lack of education isn't about intelligence. It's about access to information. Most people don't understand how the economy actually functions, how labor pressure works, how law depends on participation, how historical power was applied. So conversations stay emotional instead of strategic. People debate morality instead of leverage. Without education, real power sounds unrealistic, even when it's real. Unity doesn't mean everyone agreeing. It means shared timing and shared action. And Black America is fragmented by class, by politics, by religion, by gender wars, by trauma responses, by respectability politics. Everyone is surviving individually inside a collective problem. And individual survival will always override collective strategy. A divided population can't sustain pressure. And there's one more piece we have to be honest about. Elite Black Americans. Because one of the biggest myths we've been sold is that wealth separates you from the system. It doesn't. A richer lifestyle does not equal immunity from racism or capitalism. Black wealth still exists inside the same system, just with nicer packaging. You still getting profiled, you still getting limited, you still get extracted from, just at a different scale. And what's disturbing is how many elite Black Americans behave like they're separate from the rest of us, as if money turned into an exception instead of a responsibility. But here's the part people don't want to say out loud. If a mass withdrawal were ever real, they would be expected to participate too. Yeah, celebrities, black ones, elites, black ones, especially them, because they have the cushion, they have the flexibility, they have the capital to absorb pressure longer than anyone else. And 2 weeks ain't long. If anyone could afford to step back temporarily, it would be the people with money. Yet, many of them choose distance instead of duty. They'll speak about the culture, they'll donate here and there, they'll brand empowerment, but they won't risk disruption. And without risk, there is no leverage. This is why unity breaks down from the top first. Not because wealthy black people don't care, but because capitalism trains everyone to protect their position instead of their people. And as long as elite black Americans see themselves as separate from black Americans instead of part of them, especially when that's where you came from, collective power stays theoretical. Because a withdrawal without participation from the top would collapse under pressure fast. Real leverage requires everyone who benefits from the system to be willing to interrupt it. And right now, that's not where we are. The system doesn't fear our anger, it fears our coordination. And coordination requires trust, discipline, education, and sacrifice, none of which can be built overnight. Power unused might as well not exist. This isn't condemnation, it's clarity. Because leverage without unity is just conversation. And conversation alone has never moved power. Let me say this part again. The system doesn't fear our anger. It studies it, predicts it, survives it. What it fears is coordination. Because coordination means discipline. And discipline means sacrifice. Sacrifice exposes who's really willing to stand with their people and who just profits from talking about them. Leverage unused might as well not exist. And until we stop confusing conversation for power, nothing changes. Peace. If this video resonated with you, be sure to hit subscribe and stick around for our next conversation.